Alright, welcome to my summary of my draft for the Gym League. This is the new league that I'm participating in, that I talked about in my previous video. Super excited to get started. I think I have a very strong draft. This is the type of team that I really enjoy playing. Super excited to use them, and I think they got a pretty good shot at winning this draft league. So without further ado, I am in the Sprigatito division. Let's go ahead and get into the first mod. So my first round pick was Tornadus Therian, and I'm very excited to use this mod. It's very versatile, got a lot of things it can do very well. It's got a great speed stat. It's a really strong mod in draft because of the versatility of the things it can do. It can pivot, it can set up, it can, just hit hard, physically or specially. The regenerator ability is very nice. Earthquake immunity, solid pivot, good coverage, pretty much everything you could ask out of a mod to start your draft with. And yeah, super happy with this. Very glad I picked it up, and I'm excited to use it. Next up, I wanted a Pokemon that would complement my Tornadus very well and set me up to have some more strong picks down the line. My next pick was Slowking Galar. Just a solid mon to complement my Tornadus. Give me a good regenerator core, very good typing. Immediately give me a grounded poison type to remove toxic spikes. Both this and Tornadus work very well together because they can pivot around. They complement each other's weaknesses pretty well. Chilly Reception is a great move, especially with all the weather in this draft. There's a lot of weather teams in this draft, and I saw that, and I was like, it would be a good thing to have something to disrupt that weather. Great Thunder Waver. Can obviously set toxic spikes and remove them, hits very hard, and just takes a lot of hits and does not die. So yeah, very excited to use this. Great Pokemon. And I'll get into my next pick, and that Pokemon is Kyurem. So like I said, with the Chilly Reception from Slowking, I can set up the ice and pivot into this Kyurem. And Kyurem is a monster. If you give it the right team to work with, it can absolutely do some crazy work. We've got Blizzard in the hail or in the snow, which will never miss. We've got the ice typing to give us that passive damage boost, or not damage boost, defense boost in the snow. We've got Freeze Dry. We've got physical and special sets that we can run. Just an extremely solid wall breaker. A lot of versatility. Excellent draft Pokemon. I think my first three picks are very versatile, which I really like because they can run a lot of different sets and they all go pretty well together. They just can do a lot of different things and they can do them all very well. So very excited to use these guys. Next up, I wanted a little bit more pivoting because I think my team, I think pivoting is very good in this meta, and I needed a rapid spinner. I needed something reliable that I don't mind bringing every week or most weeks to remove hazards because two of my teammates are weak to Stealth Rock. And I really don't want them losing 25% every time they switch in, which is why you might recognize this guy, a bit of a familiar face. I picked up Iron Treads. Absolutely no complaints about getting this guy in the 4th round. This was my first round draft pick in the Rotom Appliance Draft League, and I'm happy to see him back. He's done some good work for me over there, and I think he fits really well on this team. Nice pairing with Thundurus for that electric immunity. Thundurus also helps this thing deal with fighting type attacks, which is nice. And obviously, solid rapid spinner, great Pokemon. If you've seen my other videos, you know this thing is a monster. Just a great Pokemon overall. Love having it back. Very happy to see it return for this season. Fits very well on my team, like I said. Hazard removal is very hard in this generation. This is Paldea, by the way. Rotom Appliance Draft League is National Dex, which means a lot of things have defog. So getting rid of hazards is a lot easier. But in Paldea, they like cut everything from defog, basically. So not a lot of stuff can remove hazards anymore. And that's why I'm very happy to have this on the team. Especially with it being pretty weak to hazards right now. So yeah, love seeing Iron Treads back, excited to use it again. And let's move on to the next Pokemon. Next up, I needed some more power. I needed a Mon that I could use to take advantage of all the pivoting that I have. Give me a solid wall breaker. Give me a good Mon that works well with my other teammates. And I got a Azumarill. Now this thing, if you're not familiar, you look at its stats and you say base 50 attack, base 60 special attack, base 50 speed. What is this thing doing being drafted at all? And then you see its ability, huge power. So that attack gets doubled. That's what huge power does. And it basically goes from base 50 to base 100. And on top of that, all my investment that I put in attack gets doubled. All of my boosts, if I ever get an attack boost, that gets doubled. And my choice band gets doubled if I run choice band. And it goes from like base 50 to more than base 100, which is crazy. So yeah, and Sap Sipper's not even bad, especially in draft. If I know that they're going to have a strong grass type, the immunity to grass and getting an attack boost can actually be really nice. So very happy with the Azumarill. I think it takes advantage of the pivoting that I have on my team really, really well. Because of its low speed, it doesn't really want to be switching in and taking 2 attacks. And with my other teammates, it's just really solid. Great setup with Belly Drum, good priority in Aqua Jet. Can set up with Trailblaze too. Very excited, very, very excited to see this thing put in some work this season. I think it complements my team extremely well, and I'm very happy to utilize it. Next up, I wanted a solid Terra Captain. This is a low tier Terra format, which means nothing 7 draft points or under can Terrastalize. And this is, in my opinion, one of the best 7-pointers in the game, especially with Terra. This thing becomes a crazy, crazy Pokemon. And that is Hisuian Electrode. Now this is one of my Terra Captains. We can have 2, and this is one of mine. Complements my team very, very well. Volt Switch obviously goes well with all my other Pokemon. Leaf Storm is very strong. Thunderbolt as well, just good stab. Thunder Wave also really helps some of my slower Pokemon with some speed control. And speaking of speed, this thing is ridiculously fast. It is tied for the second fastest Mon in the format, only tied with Electrode. And that secondary grass typing is really helpful because it gives me a stab way to deal with ground types that block my Volt Switch. So yeah, very happy that I got this thing. Very excited to use it. Next up, I wanted a Pokemon that could switch into Edgequake coverage. For those of you that don't know, Edgequake is Stone Edge and Earthquake, which are 2 coverage moves that are pretty often given to just like physical attacking Pokemon. And they have very, very good offensive coverage. And every single Pokemon on my team so far, except Azumarill and Electrode, is weak to either Stone Edge or Earthquake. And I don't want my team to be able to get swept by like any ground type, basically. So I wanted a Pokemon that could deal with that coverage. And I picked up Bronzong. Now, this thing is great. I'm very happy to have picked it up, especially as a Terra Captain, because of its two abilities. Well, it has three, but it has two that are useful: Levitate and Heat Proof. Now, those of you who have seen my Rotom Appliance Draft League videos know that Heat Proof is very good on a Terra Captain because of my Terra Sinistra. Being able to Terrastalize and still keep a resistance, basically an extra resistance for free, is very nice and can help you with a lot of matchups. And it's twice as good for an immunity, especially immunity to such a common offensive type as Grab. And that's what Levitate does. Now, just as a base, this thing takes hits very well with its mixed defenses. It can go either physically or specially defensive, and resist both rock and ground with its Levitate and Steel typing. And this thing is a great Terra Captain. It can Terrastalize defensively and wall a lot of Pokemon, or it can Terrastalize into a fighting type to make its Body Press hit that much harder. It's a great Stealth Rocker, solid support Pokemon. Great weakness policy Pokemon as well due to its decent attack, like it's usable with a +2 boost, and its solid defenses. So yeah, very excited to use Bronzong. I think it fits great on my team, and I'm happy that I picked it up. Next up is a low tier pick. Now, this is not my last pick. I'm using this right now. I'm giving this summary right now because I made some changes in the grace period, and I want to go over those last. Now, this is a solid 1-point pick. I could see myself bringing it in maybe a matchup or two. And that Pokemon is Cottonee. Now, this thing, its basically only use is Prankster. Now, with Prankster and Encore and Stunspore, and even Switcheroo, this thing can put in some work this season. Like I said, a lot of weather, so sunny day and rain dance. And yeah, getting myself some speed control for my Kyurem or my Azumarill. Encoring, so I can get some extra turns to get my threats in. Crippling something with maybe a Lagging Tail or something like that off of Switcheroo is very strong, and I'm excited to use it. Next up are the changes I made in Grace. Now, this Pokemon, I am absolutely shocked that it made it to the end of the Grace without getting drafted. I was not planning on drafting this Pokemon. I had originally planned to pick up something else, and then I saw this available, and I was like, if that doesn't get drafted, I'm gonna take it. And guess what? It didn't get drafted. So I took it, and I'm very happy with it. And that Pokemon is Greninja. Now, this is usually a pretty early pick, maybe round 1 or 2 pick, and it made it all the way to the end and didn't get drafted. So I picked it up, and there's no wonder why it's so strong, because this Pokemon is extremely versatile, very strong in the draft format, because it's got a lot of coverage, it's got 2 very strong abilities that do different things, and it's got good priority. It's got Protein, first of all, to give it stab on every move it's using, which is great with its wide variety of coverage moves, and it's got Battle Bond to take a KO and end the game on the spot, essentially. It can also run Choice Band sets with its 95 attack. That's not too bad. Yeah, this is a great Pokemon. Fits well with my team because it does get U-turn as well. And I'm very, very happy that I picked this up because I think this is going to put in some work, especially because my only method of hazard removal is the Rapid Spin on Iron Treads, which gets blocked by Ghost types. But with the Dark Pulse from Greninja, I can take their Ghost types that they will probably be bringing to block my Rapid Spin and turn that into a liability for their team. Either just taking it off the board or getting a nice boost with it from Battle Bond. And this can also set up some decent hazards, so very excited. I have no idea how this thing made it so late in the draft, but I'm definitely glad I got it and not someone else because this thing is a monster. Next up, we have a very solid low budget pick. I'm honestly surprised that this thing was so low points, and I'll go into why. And that Pokemon is Paldean Tauros. Now, this is not one of the Paldean Tauros you would probably be familiar with. There are 2 other forms that have water and fire as secondary types. But this thing has the same abilities, has the same stats. The only difference is it doesn't have a secondary type. And honestly, I don't want either one of those types. Um, as a fire type, I already have Pokemon that do the same job as it, and both of those Pokemon are like almost twice as expensive. And I honestly don't think this mon was worth so little. Very happy to pick it up as a rock resist, which I really need, as an intimidate mon that goes well with all my pivoting, and as a solid physical breaker I can set up with Trailblaze or anything else really. Yeah, very happy. I'm excited to use it, and I have no idea why this thing was so cheap compared to its other forms, but I'm definitely not complaining, and I will happily take it. Yeah, for context, this thing was like 5 or 6 points, and the other Tauros forms were anywhere from like 8 to 10. So I have no idea why this thing was so cheap. But like I said, I'll take it for sure. So yeah, that's my draft. Very happy with it, very excited, and I will be posting the videos on this channel. As I record this, I have already played one of the battles earlier today, so no spoilers. You guys will have to watch the video, I guess. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys for the rest of this season.